call to order the Public Works and Utilities Committee meeting. Attendance, please.
Alderman Motley. Alderman Hudson.
Here.
Alderman Wilkins.
Present.
Alderman Decker. Here. Alderman Rogers. Alderman Magley.
Yep.
As taken, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, open for comments from citizens. Seeing none, we will close for comments from citizens. Unless either of you were going to speak as a citizen.
I'm just saying the citizen ain't here, it's wonderful, let's go.
Okay, so we'll go to Public Works, number 5. Activity reports in the packet. Anything you'd like to point out for us this evening?
Bunch of concrete, and culverts, and signage.
This looks good.
Yep, so I don't know if everybody's seen it or not, but the South Jefferson ditch on the east side is completed to a point where they've got to finish the box for it, and then obviously settling and landscaping later on, probably in the spring, but it is complete, so.
What's the box, the boxes gonna be made from?
Concrete.
Concrete?
Yep,
Yeah, we gotta join all 3 of them pipes together.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed the inlets were,
I hadn't been by since you guys were out there working on
it looks
it last
nice,
week.
it looks really nice.
yep, they did a good job, they stayed
You all
on
making
it.
the box or precast?
Yeah, we're supposed to start on it next week, so. Should have it done a couple days, I would think, but depending on weather too, so.
I thought we were ordering precast boxes for all that stuff.
That's for the other side.
West side of the ditch has pre-ordered stuff.
So 2 inlets on the east side.
So the one we've got right now that we gotta build, it'll have the inlet on the north side of the driveway, and then I think the box will have an inlet in it to drain that side of the
I was gonna
driveway.
say, I thought it looked like an inlet, both sides of the driveway.
Yeah. We gotta get a grate for it still.
Definitely would like to thank, when we're still hauling, but, the dirt for that job came from Jim Butler. So that was a huge, thing for us to get a hold of that, so we get that ditch done, so. Those guys did a good job putting it in and getting on top of it.
Thanks for all the work and getting it done.
Thank you.
Anything,
Seen you in trucks, right?
That's right. That's right.
anything specific for streets, sanitation, stormwater, other?
We will be starting talks about trash in the very near future.
Good.
How early are they supposed to be in town?
They're not supposed to start residential pickup until 5 a.m., but, business pickup is about 2 a.m., I do
It's pretty
believe,
early.
for the dumpsters.
I was up at 4 this morning, they were picking my trash up, so I guess I'm commercial
Maybe
use.
they haven't.
I guess I'm commercial use.
They sprung
Just
back
being
too
in
far.
town, usually about midnight, 2 o'clock, is usually when we start seeing them, between midnight and 2.
Well, you know, all the way down my little street by like 5:10 in the morning, so they gotta be starting somewhere.
They're
before
fast.
that.
Yeah, they do hustle, I gotta give them that, they don't slouch.
Anything else? Anything else?
No?
Timmy, you good?
We'll move on to water. Aaron?
Finish flushing out of North Point and put those mains into service, so when they're in direct water out there, we can tap those. Got all 3 pump houses are ready for the electricians and Martins and pipe guys to come in and put all their stuff into the sewer project.
Nice.
Jeffries Electric, they've been here the last week and a half, putting stuff in, working on their end of it. Nick sent an updated schedule, didn't he?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's not fixed, it's,
Okay.
those dates have already gone past and we don't have the material, so. They're looking at mid-January, I think, is the spot that they're looking at,
For the valves and stuff?
pumps,
The pumps,
yeah, yeah, so,
the parts they've been waiting to get
yeah.
for an extended.
Yeah, and we've been talking, I've been talking with Nick Martin, he has actually opened up the idea, so the pumps themselves are in, it's the propeller in the pump that is, the holdup, it's a specialized pump, or impeller that's for wastewater. So he is actually looking in with the rep to see if that's something that, if that thing's not gonna be done, if we can put a normal, propeller on that pump. And then once that gets done, Martin's has basically said, you know, we'll come back and install the right one, just so we can put it in service. So, they're not to that point yet, but that is an option that we're looking at, that if, you know, worst case, we get in a pickle, we can get those things installed and at least,
Operational.
you know,
Would make
move water.
sense.
Yep.
So I would expect those would work for a period of time, but just probably don't have the longevity that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, the regular ones would probably work for 15 years, you know, but the ones that they spec, they're 30 years, so, you know how that is.
Yeah,
But that is, they're looking at mid-January on arrival for that stuff. Like Aaron said, Martin, or Jeffries, which is the electricians on the project, they've been installing stuff that they're getting in. And so they're basically wanting to get it to a point, and then they'll have to stop, so they can't go no further without the material, so that's kind of where that's at.
understandable. Okay, anything else on the activity report?
Continuing to put new meters in, or new registers and transmitters in as they die. We had 70 of them die last month on us. So, it's gonna be a slow process getting those put in,
Yeah,
especially with the colder weather coming in.
understandable. Progress is progress, right?
Yep.
Let's see, proposal for, this is sewer?
Yeah, so I got a proposal from them. It is obviously a lot more than what we budgeted for, because I had them give us some different line item stuff. Some stuff that we could take off without it causing changes. And then I typed up a deal, of stuff that we were gonna remove. We're not gonna do any manhole lining this year.
It's page 10 for anybody who's looking for it. It's got
So after it's all broke down, we're in contact with Hubble about them covering their portion. And then the school is also, we're in contact with them about covering half of the 6-inch main that goes from Jefferson Street up to the high school. If neither one of them do it, it will bring our cost down some more, because we won't have any 6-inch. The 6-inch is a little risky to line whenever there's taps on there, so we're gonna hold off on the Hubbles, and the schools don't have any taps on them, so they're not a big deal. But we're not gonna eat all the cost for those. And so basically the total we'd be responsible for after we took off these items, and Hubble and the schools paid for their portion, will be $251,000. We budgeted $150,000, and then we got the ARPA funds for $100,000. And then we also had $5,000 in there for manhole lining in the budget.
So is Humble and the schools agreed yet, or are they?
So, go ahead, Aaron.
Matt's been in contact with them. We have not heard back from them yet.
They're running numbers. The school had agreed to a price that was kind of what we had seen in the past, and it obviously came in a little bit higher. So they're working through their stuff, and then, Hubble's just trying to see if that's something that they wanna, tackle right now with all the expenses coming down the line, so.
That would be an AFE amount. So it'd have to go through multi-levels of approval. Oh, and if those come through, and then it's right at
budget.
right at budget, and then $1,000 is rounding when you're talking $250,000 project.
Well, and Aaron said that he figures that it's bid price high, so.
Yeah, when he came and looked at it, he was gonna bid everything high just to, cause, so they have to figure that liner coming up out of the manholes, just because of how they do it. And
Which I'm happy with.
I don't know exactly, this is the first year I've dealt with any of it, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I went around with the guy and I did learn a lot about the stuff that they do and how they can do it. And manhole lining in the future, I think that they're gonna be one of the competitors we might go with. We've looked at some other ones and the cost has just been quite a bit higher, so we just haven't done any of it. But that'll help some of our infiltration and slow down some of the stormwater going into the sanitary sewer.
When are we gonna, do we know when we'll be ready to make a decision on that yet? Or?
I'm hoping this week we might hear back from both just to say, you know, yeah, we're going, or no, we're backing out, so.
And from there, before we do it, let's have a conversation with the contractor. I'll see if I can get us 5, 7, 10%. We'll see.
Anything else? We'll move on to electric department, Matt?
This last month, we were able to do a little bit of line clearance, before our chipper broke down. And then, got a couple poles, already had our new hire started, Draven Hamilton. I'm excited for him to get his feet wet and get going, but he shows, promising things, that's for sure. Christmas decorations, all the way around. Other than that, that's about it.
Okay. Anything for generation, purchase, distribution?
You wanna talk about transformers?
Have we placed 2024 orders yet?
We have not.
You wanna bring that price up? Or you email me?
I'm gonna cringe already, I know it.
Well, we haven't got a contract from Arkansas Electric Co-op. That won't come out till, he said the beginning of January. And we're not even promised it because it's given to the co-ops first. So he said he's gonna try to sneak us in there since we're probably not gonna be ordering as much as co-ops do to try to get us in on some of the regular ERMCO transformers that we normally order. I haven't heard back from him on kind of a ballpark figure yet. We did have a guy come in last week from Gray Bar, which they sell GE transformers. He got me just a broad price on what one single 25 kVA residential transformer is going to be. And that's anywhere, I think it was between like $3,200 to $4,500 per transformer.
And what's historical?
The last ones we bought, I guess brand new, were maybe 1,000. That was 2021.
Wow.
And they can't even set stone price. When we order, they're price dependent upon what time they're delivered. So, I mean, he said,
We're seeing more and more of that in the industry. It was unknown or unheard of in the past,
yeah.
but it is more and more in the industry right
So I'm hoping I can hear back from Jason, hopefully this week, if he can give me some sort of price through the ERMCOs with them. But if not, this Gray Bar is probably the only company that will be able to get us transformers in 2024.
3 to 4x the cost.
Yes.
When the Arkansas Electric contract comes in, we're probably going to send out a notice for an emergency, Board of Alderman meeting so that we can get it voted on to sign it, so we can get it back to them as quick as possible.
How many do we need to buy?
At this point, like, I don't know how many we ordered. I mean, honestly, we probably need to get a stockpile of at least 30. I mean, and that's just for, because as of right now, we can't do any underground whatsoever in 2023. And then we're gonna be limited for 2024 when those do come in. So Jason from Arkansas, he said that he can like trickle them in, shoot us, 4 or 5 a month or whatever we can do. Now, Gray Bar, I don't know if it'll be one lump sum or if we'll be able to do the same thing as far as give us some in or not. But, I mean, my thing is if we can get them and get them in, at least we have something for, Mystic's new
Yeah, we've got
new piece in there.
new phase of Mystic going. So we're just trying to see, we're obviously gonna use up some for those services there. Like you said, they're out on, underground stuff next year already. We don't have the material, so just have to
Lead
see.
times in the industry, anything that has electronics in it, you're looking at 18 months, so.
Yeah.
And we don't have a choice in the market we're in right now. I mean, it is one of those oh crap type things when you see it, but, I'm just telling you what the market is right now, from
Yeah.
what I see.
To me, if we can bulk buy and then see how much we're gonna be using once 2024 hits, then purchase accordingly. 2024, put in another order for whenever they may come in. So I've heard not Gray Bar, but Armco they're projecting 55 weeks on transformers, but they're actually, like you said, 18 months, maybe even further out than that. But the good thing about that Arkansas contract would be they would have to provide us with our order within that 2024, or they pay us basically a penalty back to us. So at least that's how
That's
I've
beginning of
seen.
January, right? But you said somewhere in the early January is when you're gonna
Yes,
see that.
he's gonna shoot it out. He said he'll let me know. I've gotta get him our order, spec our transformers, get our order of what we want as of, I think it was like the 30th of December or 29th of December or something like that, and then he'll get it in a contract, shoot it over whenever it does finally release, and then get it out. So,
Capital's probably something we're gonna wanna look at really close for our budgeting in the new year. Probably very little, any of it, based on the fact we're gonna need infrastructure stuff that's gonna be considerably higher.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, he's on until 2024, so,
You understood,
2023, we're not gonna be able to pay for them because we're not getting any of them.
right?
Yeah.
We'll have to plan for them for
We need to be
2024.
saving money in electric.
Yeah, but I'm saying in general,
I
poles,
don't know, we
everything's
have
gotten crazy, right?
2 transformers to get us to 2024.
that's just pad mounts. We've got stockpile of pole mounts.
Oh, good.
We got poles and pole mounts, so
Yeah.
we can always.
We've
Yeah,
got
but-
that. If we need, we can rig something up, like a couple, but something like that.
You still want to do your cow, you got crazy. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Any other good news for us, or anything else you want to share?
Oh, man.
Appreciate the update, man. As wonderful as it is. Okay, number 8. Now, what do you got for us?
So obviously just worked close with, Demi and the street guys and Phil on that ditch project. Done a lot of communicating back and forth with, Butler on the dirt, so we could try to acquire as much of that as possible. A lot of wastewater, back and forth with those contractors, a lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls. A little bit with Schmidt Irrigation, we ran into a little bit of a easement location problem on the wastewater project. We got that, I think, finalized and worked out. Neighboring property was having a little trouble with where that was gonna be placed, so we just kinda met in the middle with them, and we didn't didn't wanna ruffle any feathers at this point. We're getting pretty close here to getting everything buttoned up, so. And then on the wastewater project update side of things, so we obviously had Bartlett with the audit come in and give us that and give us those numbers. I've met with Blake multiple times out there at the site at the new city basins. So Fishers has, we had a meeting with them and Bartlett at City Hall last week. I put in front of you the pay app request from Fisher. That's coming down the line here for next Monday's meeting. So we would just like to show you that, what that looks like. On the application, that line item number 8, which is the amount due. You see that $33,771.83. That is for work completed. They have completed that work per Bartlett and West. Gary and Blake both went out on site to double check their amounts. And have confirmed to Tara and Chris and I multiple times that they are comfortable at that amount. And then obviously that number 9 is the balance for the retainage for the completion of the project. That's the dollar amount that it is left out there for that to actually be completed. So we were just gonna have a little discussion and conversation on that, and you know what you guys, if you have any questions on it, or
Have we estimated what the liquidated damages would be?
Yes.
Still adding up.
We're adding up every day, we know what they are. So how much of liquidated damages to date, are they almost amount?
they're in range.
Yes,
They're in range of it.
yeah.
Well, I'll probably talk specifically.
Not
They're not to the full 33 and the 152, but,
Quickly approaching.
yeah, the next 30 days.
So,
So is, I mean, what he's showing here, like the earthwork for the basin, line item 7,
mhm.
85%, that leaves 22,500, what's that to cover? Seeding?
So that's that's for seeding, the restoration, the compaction test through the berm. That's that amount. So they didn't give any on that percentage on that line item 7. That has been that 85% is what it's.
And then down on A7, there's another 55,000, but how many acres is out there to be seeded?
20, isn't it?
So the whole site is a 40 acre site. You've got the basin, so it's probably close to 20, if not maybe just above 20.
That's $80,000 worth of work if they were doing it right. And that doesn't include the topsoil that they did put on there. And I don't know where you're gonna get that. That's why you have a contract that has the opportunity to go back on others to make sure it's right. And what I'm getting is, I don't think we owe them anything. Well, in talking to Sydney today, I asked her about it, because, you know, she talked about taking 30 days, because we have a right legally to take 30 days, and in her estimation, because in here, when we had the meeting, the discussion was turned around, and Fisher was told very directly by me that we would in no way make any, we were negotiating anything, because we were gonna have our project management people tell us what was finished and what was not, and to sign off on it and hold accountability and be responsible for whatever that number was, deficient or not. And that they owned that. So we would in no way, shape, or form be making any kind of decisions on what they were gonna get paid. It was gonna be based upon the audit and what they agreed to, being they're the project manager, and they're the ones that are basically, they're responsible, and they're on the hook for the project getting finished based upon their assessment of percentages being done of the different line items of the audit. And so we told them that, they were told that very directly, they understood it up front, they wanted to keep negotiating, they wanted more money.
Who wanted more money?
Fisher did, they wanted quite a bit more money, but, so when it got down to it, Gary and them weren't at all interested in anything other than what they went down through the list with, and it was pretty, it was line by line, and it was all debatable. Well, most of it was, some of it wasn't, but a lot was debatable, so when it got down to it, Sydney felt we should go by the recommendation of the person responsible for the project and the audit, and what percentage is done, and what was needed to get the job finished to the DNR specifications and scope. So, what I'm saying is, you have not just one entity here, but you've got a couple of entities that are have responsibility to the city, if need be in the future, if that makes sense, without getting super dramatic here about legalities.
So if the application date on this is December 8th, 30 days is January 7th. It would be interesting to know how much is available on January 7th if we were to pay them on the 30 days.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
Based on the liquidated damages that have been approved by that point. Because if that amount's not available.
So I will tell you that, and Fisher said this in here, he made it clear that, until, which he hasn't been out today after this was sent, but before this, when they were still negotiating, he made it clear he was not going to work until he saw some sort of pay.
Till we saw what?
Some sort of pay. So, we're in a little bit of a pickle because we're not moving forward, with the project at all. They have not been out there. Blake and I met with Chris Fisher it's been 2 Mondays, 2 weeks ago, and he has not been back. So, it's been pretty dry to get some stuff done, and has not seen movement out there.
Well,
I
would say the $152,000 that's left there, I don't think they would finish it paying liquidated damages.
It won't pay the liquidated damages.
Yeah, that's
It will
not
not,
included.
that
in that line.
$152,000 will finish the job, based upon the scope and what's left, based
They
upon
borrowed the
what
money
this-
from the liquidated damages.
We haven't gone to liquidated damages yet. That's not on the table yet.
Well, 152 ain't
That never comes on the table until someone's in default. Nobody's in default yet. And we can wait 30 days, it can keep clicking up, and they're still not in default until they walk off the job. That's the issue we got here.
But when he goes past the completion date, the liquidated damages start accruing.
They did, that's correct.
So why are you saying it's not coming into play?
It comes into play, but not at this point, because he's got to be, a company's got to be given the opportunity to finish the job.
Yeah, if he
By law.
walked off, then we could have,
Or if he walks off,
yeah.
well,
So,
that's kind of what the deal is, I mean,
So
but
you're saying that the guidance is that we need to pay this even if 30 days from now liquidated damages covers more than the balance?
yes, that's what I was told. It is, the balance, the liquidated damages keep running. So they're available to you at some point in a court of law. They're not available to you today. That's a lawsuit down the road based upon the contract and how it's read and how in a court of law they decide it's gonna get paid. And then it goes to probably the bonding agent, right, at that point. So that's in the horizon, and that's always available to go back and get that. It's available to you, but it doesn't help you short term.
It's not the way my traditional PO terms that I've used would be. It's a little different than my experience, but again, that's very specific situations, not something like that.
I'm just sharing with you guys what's been discussed, and probably, you know, we can have an opportunity to sit down and talk in a session, probably next week, if you follow what I'm saying. And we can get down to the brass tacks of it.
Well, $33,000, that's a little bit over a month's worth of liquidated damages. That you're kind of giving away to them.
Yeah, and I understand that. I also understand that the longer we don't make them move on it, whether they come back and start doing some of the project or not, but we also have to have some of this stuff in play, hopefully by springtime. And so we're getting in a little bit of a close area. I don't wanna be without, these basins. for the
We have
season.
to have somewhere for that
Yeah,
water to go.
we gotta have this,
Yeah.
that we have depleted the emergency overflow that we had in play, that if we got a wet spring, we could run. That's gone. We don't have that option. So I understand the financial part of it, but also I have to look out for Aaron and those guys in the city as far as wastewater goes, that we don't wanna just prolong this, and then we get ourselves in a pickle with wastewater.
There's a lot of things that have gotten us to where we're at as far as continuation and some of the things that we're at now. It's,
Which line items?
So could
are
we
being-
Can we set a due date that this has got to be done?
I believe so. I believe that.
So, and I don't know how that would work. I don't know if we set a new date, if that
Gary made the comment that.
scratches the,
You already said it was in July.
yeah, the substantial and then.
Yeah, but we could pay this $33,000 and he could drag it on past spring.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I mean, we could pay this $33,000 and he could go on and do something else and not come back and not walk off the job.
Well, I think that with that pay, there, through Bartlett and West, there can be a reasonable expectation of finish date.
We've heard that before though.
But I think that they'll set it this time. They'd have to before we pay, as far as I'm concerned. That was discussed the other day.
We've had that conversation, and we were very clear on that. So I'd be curious, and you may not have that answer now, which of these item numbers have to be done so that we are compliant with all the DNR stuff versus what is cleaning up type tasks.
Well, and that's not all, so some of that's gonna be a combined line item, so your earthwork and stuff, you know, that's everything from cleanup, reseeding, but that also includes the compaction of those berms that we're requesting that we see through. You know, so that line item, that the 7 and A7, that's kind of got multiple items within that one line item. Now, the whole, you know, this telescoping valve and all that, we still have to have that. I mean, it's in place, it's not, they've got to do some reconstruction on it, but that's all got to be done to make it functional. I mean,
And it's here, but it's not in place.
it's installed, but they've got to get some things in place to
Correct.
make it safe and to operate correctly.
Steps and everything, yeah.
So, you know, like the piping, both the suction line and the gravity transfer line, they are both installed. There's just some very small detail items for, you know, some concrete that's gotta be installed around the suction line, some rebar that's gotta be there for restraints on the line. That stuff added up to be like $400, and they didn't, you know, they withheld that, so that way he would still have to do those things, but
Okay, when Gary was here last month, he had 3 pages of a punch list
correct,
for them to do. How much of that have they done?
zero.
Nothing.
Zero.
I think we need to add, if closed session to discuss this with Sydney next week. Because I really want to hear her recommendation and understanding of the contract, because
She'll be glad to give it to you.
having a little heartburn,
Oh, yeah.
more than a little on this one. But I hear
So
you,
what's
Matt. We need to get the project done, so.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just, I've just gotta have something, whether you guys say nay or yay, just so we know which direction we need to move. That's,
Someone throwing an ultimatum our way saying they're not gonna come out and work until we actually pay them some money.
yeah, and I don't know that it's him saying that because he's holding against us, I think it's him saying that because he can't operate without it. That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
don't have it,
Yeah, so,
Any other comments? Any other comments that we don't wanna table till next week on this? Or that we shouldn't table the next week on this? Mr. Rush, anything else?
I think that's all I got.
Any as may arise?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.